Hello, my friend, and welcome to today's video. In this video today, what I thought I'd do is ask a question. Does your passport from your home country affect you in where and what you can study in Australia? And in this video, I'm going to not only answer that question, but I'm also going to provide you with background information to why certain countries can affect the visa for students to study in Australia. And I'm also going to provide you a few tips of what it is that you could possibly do if you find yourself in that situation. So let's get into it. So, my friend, here is the challenge. If you come from a certain country, it is likely that your visa will affect you in being able to study in Australia. Because in Australia, there is a risk rating applied to all foreign countries. And the reason for this is to identify what is the stability of a particular country. And things that could be included in this are things such as the political climate, if there corruption, is there wars, has there been false documents applied from that particular country, what is the visa rejection rate from that country, and too many other things to go into. So the challenge it provides is that it can limit you to what you can study, when, and how. So, for example, if you come from a country that has had some instability, this means that if you want to study in Australia, your only pathway might be to a university. So the problem with this is that it may limit you to which particular university you can apply for. Now, in Australia, we've got 8 major universities, our big 8, that have great courses, but they can be very expensive. You might be looking at a minimum cost of 70,000 Australian dollars for 3 years. That could be quite expensive if you come from a country that has a low socioeconomic environment. It also means that it reduces your chances of being able to find an institution outside of those big 8 because of other impending issues that you might need to address. So, for example, other universities in Australia that are private, you may need to apply or provide additional documents such as your English capacity. So, how good is your English? You might need to do a test. You may also need to provide financial viability to demonstrate your finances, in able to show that you have enough financial means to support yourself and pay for your fees while you are studying here in Australia. Whereas with the larger universities, there may not be a requirement for that. But in saying that, the top universities will have a different type of criteria that you'll still need to meet in order to be a successful applicant. So as you can see, passports and institutions does make a difference in where and how you study in Australia, and even if it's possible to study in Australia. In previous videos, I talked about age restrictions and age limits. So if you haven't seen that video, please take a look, as this may help you with your decision-making process as well. So there are 3 levels of institutions in Australia. Level 1 are the big 8 institutions where there is minimal risk for them to take students from any part of the world. So in their situation, there's no requirements for them to ask you to provide English levels and financial requirements. And then your second level institutions are those that will allow you to apply for those institutions, but there may not be a requirement for providing English as evidence or financial capacity. And then there are the third level institutions where you must provide your English level as well as your financial capacity to be successful for those institutions. Now, it's the third level institutions that you may find it even more difficult to gain access to based on your passport and your country. Now, before I go into my 4 options of what you can do to overcome these challenges, please click on the like button below, and please also make a comment in what you found useful in today's video. And please tell me, what have you found difficult in looking to become an international student in Australia? So here are 4 options that you can look at to overcome this problem. So option number 1 is, if you have the financial means, you can apply to one of the big 8 institutions to be able to gain access to become a student in Australia. The second option is the opportunity to try to find a scholarship, but this is very challenging and it can be very competitive as well. So it's an opportunity, but it's not necessarily a realistic one. The third option is the option of being able to come to Australia, maybe as a tourist, and looking to apply to an institution when you're on shore. Now, the positive side of this is that the time to become a student in Australia when you're on shore is less, and also there is a greater opportunity of being successful as a potential student to an institution. And the other benefit is that you have a wider choice of selecting which institution you want to study at. So you don't just have to study a degree, but you can also look at options of studying a vocational program or even English if that is an area that you want to improve in before you move on to further studies. If you have family or friends that are already living in Australia, they may be able to provide you with an invitation letter in order to come as a tourist. And you also have the opportunity of having accommodation available to you, because at the moment that is a little bit of a struggle for students who want to study in Australia in accessing affordable accommodation. And the fourth option that you might want to think about that is a little bit outside the box is, if finances is a problem in not being able to afford to come and pay for a higher education, and also maybe not having anybody that you know of or have any family in Australia, you may look at the option of potentially starting a business from your home country and then looking to build that business in Australia, with the option of using that as a way of creating additional income for you to be able to pay to study in Australia, with the idea of that once you build a business to a certain level, it may also provide you an opportunity to become a permanent resident in Australia as well. So down below in the comments section, I have an online form where you can provide your details to me so I can get in contact with you. Otherwise, I have an online booking calendar that you can make a booking with myself for a free consultation so we can have a chat. Otherwise, here are a few other videos that can help you.